and make more wealth. And we do this by interviewing key people in the industry so we can learn and network and share ideas and share information. And I'm really excited to have here today a lady who is truly all that and a bag of chips. She and I spoke. I've known her for a while. We did a one-on-one interview a week ago. The next day, I saw her live at the LA Real Estate Investment Club that I invite you guys to all every month. And not only was she there live as a vendor, but she'll be one of the headline speakers next month. We'll talk about that. Let me introduce Deborah Razo. Deborah, welcome.
Hi, Bill. Thank you for having me on the show. Hi, everybody.
Hi, let me get you here into the spotlight. There you go. Some eye candy for the call. Great. So Deborah, give us a little background, like where you grew up and how you get into real estate.
Oh, sure. Well, I've been an entrepreneur for, over 30. Can I say that? Over 30 years.
You started 9 years old. That's okay.
Yeah, I did. I started when I was 9 years old.
Your Girl Scout selling cookies. And years later,
yeah, and I've had several different businesses. But honestly, I had something happen. I had a car accident in my life just a little over 13 years ago. And it kind of gave me the opportunity to start over. And I say this a lot when I'm out speaking, because I think that anybody who's had a little age under them has had these opportunities before. Sure. They haven't really felt like opportunities at the time, but that's what they are, right? Sometimes it's the divorce or the death of a loved one. For me, it was a car accident. And I actually was really hurt really badly. I actually broke my neck, believe it or not.
Wow.
It took me well over a year to recover. And when you have that kind of time on your hands, you get a little bit of time to think. I mean, some of us have been thinking all this time during COVID, right? And we think, am I really living my life the way I want to live it? Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't have a bad life, but was it how I really wanted to live it? I really wanted to travel the world. I wanted to have more time with family. You know, I wanted to be rich, and I don't mean monetarily rich. I wanted to be energy rich. I wanted to be time rich, right? Those things that you really want. I wanted those types of things. And I was like, I don't know how to get that. And I started Googling passive income, and a lot of things come up, royalties come up, but real estate kept coming up. And I thought, you know what? I need to get me some of that. So that's kind of how I started my real estate journey.
Nice. So what was your first action and then your first success? Is not the same in real estate?
Wow. My first action, like probably many people, was education and never moving, right? What is that? Analysis paralysis, right? So I started educating in real estate, and I knew that I was going to have to change my mindset as well. And after what I had been through, I really kind of needed some radical mindset shifts. And my brother had been to a bunch of Tony Robbins events. And so after I was healed enough to go, because anybody's ever been to any of his events live knows it's physically taxing on you, I started going to Robbins events. So it was kind of like that, the mindset education and the real estate education going hand in hand forward. But I had not worked for a year. I had been an entrepreneur. I had 2 children in high school, and I was depleted as far as financially. And physically, I was still healing. I was given some great advice by somebody I was around, and they said, you need to get an investment philosophy. And I said, what the heck is an investment philosophy? Like, this is something I had never heard of before. And it's basically a plan, right? How are you going to get from point A to point C, and where are all the points going to be in between?
Right.
And I knew I needed income. I knew what I wanted in the end. I wanted passive income. I wanted mailbox money. I wanted that money that comes in while you sleep. You know that stuff, Bill. I wanted that.
I want more, but I love it.
Yeah. How was I going to get there, right? So I thought a good way to generate income was flips. At the time, people were doing flips and they were making a bunch of money. So I educated on that very cheaply, I'll be honest with you. And then I borrowed some money from my brother to do my first flip. Wow. And I made a bunch of money on that. And
let's hold on a second there. Let's break down there. Where did you educate yourself?
I went to real estate clubs and I
Okay.
took a few of the free weekend seminars.
Okay.
I think I might have paid for one seminar that was like, you know, under $500,
Okay.
right? Because I really didn't have, I was scrappy. I didn't have, I didn't have a lot of resources at the time. I had a little bit of time to dedicate to educating. And so that's what I did. And I partnered. One of the things that I learned in the Robbins realm while I was doing my mindset stuff is that if you want to really accelerate your learning, partner with somebody who's already knows how to do it. So my
Right.
first book, I partnered with somebody
Right.
and they took half the profit, but man, I got more of that than in education, right? I felt confident after that I could do it on my own. So that's what I did.
Great phrase I heard last week was teamwork makes the dream work. And I think so often people are new, mistaken. They look at every penny as theirs. And I have real estate agents who I partner with, and well, I don't really want to split the deal with you. I said, well, I can't really work with you unless I get paid too. And they'll do it on their own and fumble and bumble. And there are other ones who work with me, and I help them make a lot of money. And I know I'm worth it because I know how I make money is creating value for other people. And so people are new to real estate to understand you really have to find team members. And if not me, find somebody else that you can teamwork with. So, okay,
You know,
so you started.
add on to that.
Yeah.
Right. I was a lone wolf. I had, like I said, I was an entrepreneur. I had several businesses. I was kind of a lone wolf. I liked to do my own thing. And I thought I could do real estate the same. And the truth of the matter is you can do real estate that way. You know, you can go one house at a time or one flip at a time.
Sure.
But man, when you start growing your team and you start having productive and profitable relationships,
Right.
well, then you're going to grow exponentially,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So
That's what starts.
yeah,
That's what starts happening that way. No, I agree 100%. That's again, I don't think you have to work with a team, but I think if you can leverage yourself, and you can also do what you do well, and not have to do what you don't do well. So you started on your own. You did a flip or two. And how do you work today? What's your real estate business look like today?
wow. I come a long way, baby.
Well, that's why we have you here. You're all that in a bag of chips.
I started flipping and, honing in on those skills, right? Using hard money, getting better at managing a team, all that kind of stuff, and then making little chunks of money. And then I was looking, right? What did I say? Cash flow was it for me. That's what I really wanted. So I was like, okay, I need to buy cash flowing property. And at first I was really looking at buying here in Los Angeles. And then I did the numbers and talked to people and realized, okay, that's really hard to cash flow. And I'll never forget it. I was at an event and they were putting us into groups of 4. And I was there and I didn't have any property, cash flowing property. I had flipped a couple houses. I had some money. And then I was there with somebody who had a property in LA, somebody who had a property out of state, and somebody who had a property out of country. And I remember driving home that night and I was like, wow, out of country. I mean, that is just beyond my thoughts about how to manage something like that. It was really far out of my risk zone, right? This is all about how much risk you want to take. And that felt really far. And then I really realized, if I'm going to make cash flow, I'm going to have to go out of state. So if I feel like that's risky, what is it that I need to mitigate that risk so that I can be successful, right? So I took steps in educating. I took steps in finding a place that was comfortable to me. My first market that I invested in was Memphis, Tennessee. And I bought a house. I bought a house there that was like $50,000.
Wow.
And it was a kind of a low rent C-type property for those of you that know the ABCD properties. It was a C-type property. And it was a turnkey property. I wanted some people around me to help me succeed. But even getting to that point, I had to be really pushed. And I had a coach at the time. Well, I say that loosely. I think I paid him for 1 or 2 sessions, but then I kind of globbed onto him for coffees and things. Because once again, I was scrappy in the beginning. And he said, Deborah, you've been here, you've been educating. When's that first time you're going to get that check in your hand, that cash flow check? And kind of made me set a date, which I highly recommend, because if we keep analyzing forever and ever, we just don't continue. We just don't
Right.
do it, right?
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, I was really scared. I didn't know how to do it. And once I did one, I bought three more that year.
Wow.
Because it was like I had gained the confidence. Oh, okay, I get this. I understand how this works. I get to know how to do it. And then honestly, I was out of money. My debt to income ratio wasn't great. And I was like, oh, now I need what everybody was talking about, other people's money, right? Now I need that. I had raised my skills in flipping, so I started developing in Los Angeles. We took single family homes and we made fourplexes out of them. And so I started doing that. And then I started investing in multifamily in other people's deals and learning all about that. And now I've closed in a few multifamilies as well in Texas and Arizona.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's been kind of my journey, a little bit of skills at a time, continuing a little more skills. Yeah.
My question from George: what's the best way to find partners in your area? I think you mentioned you found them at a real estate investment club. Is that the best way, or are there other ways?
Oh gosh, I think there are all kinds of ways, but I would definitely say, if it depends what kind of partnership that you're looking for, you find somebody who's really actually doing it,
Right.
successfully accomplishing what you want to accomplish,
Right.
right? So at the time I wanted to flip. So I shadowed, I went to people who I knew were flipping. I asked if I could visit their sites with them. And then I asked if I could shadow them a bit. Now, shadowing is, it's kind of hard for somebody who is, working on their own all the time.
Right.
So I would do everything I can to add value. I mean, I would get them coffee. I would, I would do anything to try to add value to them, because they're giving their time and their expertise to me. And I, wanted to be really appreciative of that. I did the same things, when I was looking at buy and holds, right? I went in with a team that I knew how to do the numbers. I asked a ton of questions, really took advantage, but also tried to pay it forward, tried to add value to them wherever I could, so that it was a symbiotic relationship.
That's the key. I think the key is if you give some value, that you get something back. And I know when people help me or offer me anything, I try to help them back as much as I can. People ask me about shouting me all the time, and I say, well, it's not that glamorous. I mean, welcome to watch me on the phone, but I don't. It's not that glamorous of an event. But maybe hearing what you say and hearing the dialogues and such become important. So that brings us now to the way I found you. Well, that's not true. I knew of you, but I didn't realize you were the founder of the Women's Real Estate Network. Shine brighter together than we do as individuals.
Yeah.
So tell me about REN, the website.
Sure.
REN Inspires. Tell me about that, and
Yeah.
what was the inspiration behind that, and what does that do today?
Right. So I was flipping at the time here in Los Angeles, and a bunch of the hedge funds were coming in and they were buying up single family properties, and they were outbidding a lot of flippers. And I didn't have my own crew. I was, I didn't at the time, I didn't have my own crew. I didn't have my own pool of funds. I was using hard money and then some gap money to close my deals. So my cost of business was a little higher, and I was missing out on all these deals. And in fact, even people who had their own crews were missing out, because these hedge funds were coming in and outbidding us all. It was a really frustrating time. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. Very frustrating time. And I think if you've been in this business any length of time, or maybe if you haven't, this business is simple in the sense of, like, you want to, have a house, you find out, you learn how to write an offer. Not so complicated. And you put the offer in and you negotiate the offer, and then you get it. But it's hard in the sense that you might be doing that over and over and over and over again, just to get the house at the right price, the right property at the right price to move forward. Right. And that's what I was going through. I was going through like a hard time mentally, putting that out there over and over and over again and not getting anything. And I was like, oh, is this ever going to work again? And I was feeling isolated, and I thought, where are the other people that are in this business that I'd be able to relate to? And so I asked a bunch of full-time women real estate investors to a Sunday brunch. And honestly, that's how it started. We all just started talking to each other. And then after that brunch, we started meeting on a, every other month. Usually there was wine involved. I don't know. And, but we also started sharing resources, right? We actually have, since then, we've lent to each other, we've borrowed from each other, we've JV'd together. I mean, that original group of 12 is kind of my 12 girls. But what I realized is that there was all these women out there in real estate that didn't get to meet these women who were like kicking it, and rocking it. And so I started a meetup, and then the meetups grew, and we have 11 chapters now all over the US. And
Wow.
we have
How many people, how many women involved?
a little over 7,000, I think. Yeah, on our list. So yeah, so it's a bunch of women, and it's networking, and I think, in fact, I can tell you, when I started this business, I was mentoring, I was going to a real estate club on a regular basis. And one of the guys, I went on a weekend thing, and one of the guys came up to me and he goes, I really thought you were a wallflower. You really came out. The truth of the matter is, I'm kind of an awkward networker. And it's so ironic that I have a networking company. But the fact of the matter is, I had to really learn how to foster a relationship, because it's just not about exchanging cards and numbers, right? It's about fostering a relationship.
Right.
So people get to know you, you get to know them, and so that you feel comfortable, talking and then doing business. It's a process. So I had to learn that too.
So what kind of activities? I know, I know so many women who are in WREN. It's such a powerful organization within the real estate industry, and so many of the top real estate agents are involved in the organization. And I just imagine with some ginormous event, organization, which it is. And then one day I'm talking to you, discover that you're the founder of it, blew me away. What are the typical events? Of course, with COVID, nothing's typical, but what are typical events or activities in your organization?
Yeah, we have monthly events online. We used to have monthly events in all our chapters every month, but when COVID hit, we went all online. We haven't actually started those again. We're doing quarterly in-person events now. So like we had a quarterly event in January, which was the actual online event was all about doing ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units. And then the in-person event was actually walking properties and finding out numbers and everything to an ADU. So we had 3 properties, and they were all located in Orange County. And then we bring in people that finance them, the architects that will design them, right? So we try to cover the areas. Like if you're interested in this product, then here are a bunch of resources for you to explore, right? So we do that kind of thing. I happened to buy a multi-unit in Puerto Rico last December with a couple partners, and we're making it into a bed and breakfast. There's all kinds of amazing tax advantages there. So we're sponsoring a trip to Puerto Rico in July, right? For anyone interested in doing that, we have an annual event as well that will probably be in the fall. We're looking at October for that. So we have in-person as well as online events.
Exciting. Now, got another couple of questions. One question is a long one. I'll kind of summarize it, which is, I got into real estate for passive income, but it doesn't feel very passive. It feels like a lot of work. Now, there are opportunities for passive mailbox money in real estate, and there are other opportunities to create a new job for yourself that's more taxing than the 9-to-5 job you're trying to get out of. How do you manage your time, and how do you avoid creating more work for yourself, not less? Because your goal was passive income, not to create all the extra work for yourself.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I felt like I was so busy with my active income that passive income, wasn't really happening passively. I'll just say it that way. And I think there are varying degrees to passive income. And let me explain. I think when I read the little purple book, right, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's the passive income Bible. I don't know, whatever. When I read the little purple book, I thought that was the way to go. And the truth of the matter is, there is things to manage when it comes to managing a portfolio of single family homes. And one of the mistakes I learned from when early on, I told you I went into Memphis and I started buying these C-class properties. Well, the C-class properties had a lot more maintenance involved. There was a higher turnover rate. I felt like I was always involved in that. And I realized early on, this was not my model. I mean, I wanted my passive income to be more easily managed.
Or passive.
Yeah, more passive.
Bigger P.
So I actually ended up selling those and buying B plus. I don't have that many A properties, but in a B plus class, I feel like I get tenants that are not turning over. I get tenants that, if their car breaks down, they're still able to pay rent. I get tenants that are a little more, steady that way, and therefore making my passive income more passive. That being said, I do take time to train my managers on how I want my properties to be run. I think that there are a lot of people that come in and buy maybe a single family property and then just kind of forget it. And I'm not one of those people. I spend the time to train people on how I want things to be run so that they know my style. They know I'm going to be involved. They know I'm an active investor and how I want things. But once I've trained that, then the properties run how I want them. So it works out pretty well. Now, that being said, I mentioned I started investing in other people's, apartment deals because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn all that. And that felt truly passive to me. When I'm investing in somebody else's deal, they're taking care of all the day-to-day functions. I really have no say in any of that. And I am just sent, usually a check either monthly or quarterly. And now that I've had that experience, I'm on the other side of it and I see how quickly we're scrambling as general partnerships, but we're also doing it to get that passive income for our investors, as well as make it a profitable opportunity for everybody. So yeah, I've had kind of a spectrum of passive income, and I think you got to find yourself as an investor of what's comfortable to you, and then push yourself out of that zone a little bit.
I know personally, I'm not a single family home investor. My brother was, and I just saw him. He loved it. He loved getting those phone calls Saturday night, plumbing, whatever. He'd run out there. He was a fix-it kind of guy. I don't even have a hammer in the house. I'm just not that guy, but I do like passive income. And so my business is set up for passive income. And I also invest in real estate through syndicated deals where literally I get a check monthly or quarterly. I love that. Check hits my bank. I get an email from Wells Fargo, money deposited. Yay, let's go get some more of those. So people need to understand there's a range of real estate products. There are people like Deborah who have good management skills and want to manage their team. There are other people who hire an experienced management team and stay out of it, and it happens to them. The only problem there is you're not dependent on that management team, and they come and go, ebb and flow like everything else. So there's a wide range of it, but I think sometimes people make the passive income sound so simple. And it's not quite that simple in many cases. It does require some work. So,
well, either way it goes, whether you're doing it yourself in designating a property manager or you're evaluating investments, you need to be educated and involved and interested. I'm going to say, my brother is a huge stock market person, and so after I started making some money, he was like, "Deb, get into stocks, and he was making so much money. I was like, all right. And, he suggested some things. I ended up losing a bunch of money, and he felt horrible. And I was like, you know what, this isn't your fault. I learned a really valuable lesson. And that is, I am not a stock investor. I cannot watch the line. That's what you're doing when you're watching stocks. Now I can stay on Zillow or Redfin for hours because it interests me, So like, you've got to go with what interests you. There's so many different things that you can do as a real estate investor. There's notes and flipping and, buy and hold. There's so many different ways.
Storage and the marinas. I met a guy who buys marinas and flips them and then does a burst strategy on a marina with mobile homes and camper sites and stuff. There's so many different real estate investments.
There is, but you got to do something you're interested in, right? Because you got to pay attention to it. It's your money, for goodness sakes,
Well, I don't think there's anything where you just write a check and expect to get money back without paying some attention either up front or along the way. I think at some point you got to put some time in on it.
Yeah.
what do you see as I think you said it before, the thing that holds people back from getting started, and what do you do to kind of hit them in the tush to get them moving forward?
Yeah, I do for them what other people have done for me, and this is basically I say, when do you want to see that happen by? The truth of the matter is we can drag our feet, for months, days, months, years, but you need to give a commitment. And the commitment I gave was to somebody who I didn't actually see on a regular basis. And the fact of the matter is the commitment wasn't to him, it was to me, but it was somebody I was talking to and that said, when do you want to do that by? You've just got to move into it. And, it's about moving out of that comfort zone that you have and moving into some unknowns and gaining the confidence to know that you can manage that, right?
Yep.
Because I think about being an entrepreneur and it's about being a creative problem solver, and if I don't know how to solve it, maybe I have the network of people that I could call to help me figure out how to solve it, right? And so, it's about gaining that confidence and gaining that muscles, but you have to actually go out and do it by when to do that.
So interesting to use the word when in the letters of your organization, REN. Just take the R and open it up, and there's when right there.
Right, when? When?
And I think it's important to get started in a small level. Just take a small piece. For me personally, I wanted to move into syndicated deals, and I was nervous about it. And I was evaluating, and it's not so simple finding the deal that you like. And I ended up just writing a check to Grant Cardone's Cardone Capital. It was a small check for $5,000, which was a small piece of what I was looking to invest. But it got me started. You sign the paperwork, and next thing you know, you get a check in the mail. Like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, I need to invest a lot more like these, and I want to make more money so I can afford to buy more like that. And the magic is once you get started, you can do it again and again and again, but you can't do that till you get started.
Well, and it's such a combination, and I think this is what I love about it. It's such a combination of mindset and actual knowledge, right? Your confidence starts to grow as you do it more, your knowledge starts to grow, and it's just a cycle feeding each other, right? And now I have more knowledge, and now I have more confidence. Now I have more knowledge, more confidence. It works so that it's feeding each other, but you got to get in the cycle.
You got to get in the game. There's no way to win the game unless you're in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Hey, look, those of you on the call, and Deborah doesn't work just with women, though it sounds like primarily, but she's a leader of an organization of 7,000 women in real estate. That's just a staggering number, and 11 chapters. Here's a chance to talk to an investor who's successful, who's made some changes in difficult circumstances, and it's help people like you get started or increase your business. So if you want to ask questions, feel free to either raise your hand in the Zoom app or type in the chat box. If you're watching on the live streams, I try to watch that closely too. If you're in YouTube or Facebook, feel free to pop a question in, and we'll do our best to make it as interactive as possible. So obviously, I don't think this is news to you. There's some changes in our real estate industry. What do you see? What do you see changing now going forward for the next short-term period, and how's it affecting your strategy as a business person?
Well, I have suspended my development stuff right now, just because of the driving up prices, both of the land itself as well as the materials. Right, it's making it harder and harder to make that model work. But I am also I'm also very convicted that you can invest in any real estate market. You just have to find the right strategy. Right. So remaining flexible on your strategies is, something that I have done and something that serves me in changing markets, So, I just mentioned I went to the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. And, that's a really different strategy, and it's probably outside a lot of people's comfort zone. But guess what? Puerto Rico is giving us 40% of our purchase price and our rehab costs back to us in tax credits. Now, with 40% back, I can afford to make a few mistakes. Wow. And still come out shining. Wow. Run your numbers, know your numbers. I mean, ask questions, to people that know numbers or that are trying to, talk to you about the properties that you're getting into. I do not hold any pride in knowing everything at all, ever. Everybody structures their deals differently. I'm like, explain it to me.
Do you get involved in wholesaling at all, or do you work with wholesalers through your REN program?
Yes, I have picked up wholesale properties from wholesalers when I'm flipping, and I was a wholesaler on one property, I don't think it's my calling. It's not my forte. I think I leave people that are better at it to it for me. But yeah, that was a long time ago, and now I just pick up from wholesalers. They're a great resource.
So, and me too. I think it's a great source of business. That's one of the reasons I do this call, is to help wholesalers be more successful. And along the way, if they have some good deals, to bring them to me. I have either I'll buy it as an investor, or I have friends or customers who will. So George asks, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start wholesaling now? Best to be in California or best to go out of state?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, if you can secure a property in California, you'll have multiple offers for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure because my finger's not on the pulse of wholesaling. I know a lot of people who are soliciting out-of-state properties. It's just, I don't do that for a living. So my advice to you was to find people who do that and ask them that question. Take them for a coffee or have a Zoom coffee, which is sometimes what I do. Like, of a Zoom coffee, and ask those questions. Where are you getting your leads? How are you getting your leads? How many houses are you securing on a regular basis? Right. Find out, the answers. I think Bigger Pockets is a wonderful resource as well. I don't know if you've been on that, Bill, but
yeah, for sure.
You have a lot of discussions there about that. So I hope that helps. I'm not really in the wholesaling business. So.
Well, one of the challenges in wholesaling is you have to know the value. At some point, you could lead generate wherever you want, but you have to know you have a deal. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. And so it's certainly easier to price properties near where you live. It's not to say you can't do it virtually with technology and the tools available now. It's certainly possible. And there's probably more opportunities for deals. I think if you're in a niche, other states will open up your opportunities. But either way, it's a unique business model. You have to find somebody doing that and copy their model. I think some people are really into local, hyper local wholesaling. Other people are into, flipping all across the country.
Yeah.
So, and I think it goes back to find somebody who's doing that and learn from them. Here's a question. I hate to even ask this question, just because I think you answered for yourself, which is, can you explain how you got into development? Okay. And whether it requires construction experience? I'm not quite sure how to make the leap given the lack of contact. So I think we would both say to you, be careful getting into development today, just because the uncertainty, the costs of the material going up so quickly, the values being so challenging to deal with, the regulatory environment also being hard. But if someone wanted to get into development, where would you recommend to go, Deborah?
Sure. I actually have a lot of answers for that. First, I'll tell you how I got into development, and then I tell you what I learned. So I got into development. I was at our REN chapter in Seattle, and there was a woman developer there, and she was speaking. And you don't meet that many women developers. And I was just like, wow, you're a woman. I was socializing with her afterwards. I'm like, you're a woman developer. That's amazing. And she said, well, you're a flipper, right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, development is so much easier. And I thought, what? You're kidding, right? And she was like, no, with flipping, it's constant problem solving, right? You purchase a property and you don't know what you've got. You uncover things, and, you might have a foundation issue that you've got to fix. You might have all kinds of issues. One time I had a dead bees hive that was literally bigger than my body, stuck in one of the walls, like that had to be professionally removed. I mean, you never know what you're going to get, right?
Right.
And her thing was, it's a lot of work up front because of all the planning, all the permits, all that process up front is a lot of work. But then once you're ground up, it's no problems, right? You're just building ground up and it goes up. And it's true, and I had never looked at it that way. not only the fact that I never looked at it that way, but she completely changed my mindset over thinking it was just something mysterious, right? I mean, I kind of had development was behind this wild curtain I never saw behind, right? And she allowed me to peek behind it and go, it's not really that hard. You know, it's, you know, you got to do this upfront work, but once you're done with that, it's ground up. And then after that, it's like somebody saying, you know, I like those white Sprinter vans, right? Sprinter vans are really popular right now, right? And then all of a sudden you see white Sprinter vans everywhere, right? So she opened up my eyes to this, and all of a sudden I'm seeing developers everywhere, and I'm talking to them. I'm doing coffee with them. I'm asking them how they're financing things. I'm asking them who their resources are. I'm asking them. And finally, I came up with a developer who needed something I had, which I had been using private money for quite some time, and I had a list of investors at that point. She had been in the construction side of things, and we partnered together. So it was a great partnership because we were symbiotic. Like I was able to bring money to the deal, she was able to get the job done, and we were learning from each other at the same time. So it worked out really well for us. So you've got to like that, you know, if you're looking for development, but you know, also know, which I learned early on. Make sure you know what you're looking to develop and where you're looking to develop. Zoning and the grace of the building organizations. You know, for example, like, you know, in California, we are you know, under legislation that they are you know, supposed to be accepting all, you know, auxiliary dwelling units because of our housing shortage and stuff. And the fact of the matter is, you can get something through the city of LA in like 3 months, but you have 6 months or longer in the city of Pasadena. You've got to know that, because your team has got to expedite those plans, because any time that you're sitting waiting, you're paying for the money that that you've borrowed against the project. So really, the zoning is so important, and knowing what city you're going to be building in, and if they're amenable to you building there.
It seems like most developers I work with have one city they really develop almost exclusively in, because they've learned the planning regulations and maybe even the personnel.
And you have a team, like you have the expediter for that city, you've got the structural engineers for that city, you've got, you know, the architect for that city. It's, you know, it goes along with that whole team thing.
Right. George asked, do you find the developers are open to giving you the info? I'm sure the answer is anybody's open if you give them a reason to open up, and nobody's open if you don't give them a reason to open up. But what's your experience?
Right. You know, here's the thing. I think it's all in the way you ask the question, you know, and the truth of the matter is I was really interested in asking questions about, you know, oh, you know, tell me about your successes, tell me about your journey. And people love to share about their successes and their journey, you know, and then you find out, oh, you know, and then this happened and I had to do this. And then you're learning from their mistakes, right?
Right.
So, you know, I think that when you come to them and you're just really genuinely interested in, you know, how they got to where they got to, and you know, and you know, find out more about that journey, then I haven't had that much of a problem. There have been those, though, that, you know, are evasive, or I haven't been able to get on the phone or whatever, but, you know, next one. Okay, next.
Well, hi, Tim, I find most people are open to sharing about their business if you invite them to a video recording session and you're going to help promote their business. They'll talk about everything. So, case in point. That's part of why I do that with attorneys and vendors and investors and people. I mean, I think one of the reasons why, I was excited to have you was you seem so open and willing to share. I think that's important. Talk about how does WREN support your real estate investment business? I mean, obviously it may or may not be a profitable organization, but I would imagine that at some point there was a purpose behind that, was you wanted to be better at your real estate investment business. How do those two work together, or how do they work for your membership as well? How does that help them be more successful?
You know, there's that quote, right? Your network is your net worth, right? And I never really understood that quote. And because, like I said, I was kind of a lone wolf in the beginning and doing everything myself and financing myself. And, you know, but then when I started partnering with people, whether it be for a project, somebody was an equal partner of mine in a flip or something, or whether it be a money partner, right? Money friends, that's what we call them, money friends, like, hey, lend me money, I'll make some money for your money, and I'll lend you money and you make some money for my money, right? We're money friends. And then you see the power of that. You see the power of that network. And REN became that for me. There were other women that were doing business full-time in real estate. I'm invested in several self-storage units and passively, because 2 of our REN women own 16 of them across the US. I know them. I've known them for years. I've invested with them. I feel very comfortable in what their business model is. They know me. They just invested in my Puerto Rico deal, right? Like, you get to know people through a network, and REN is that network for me, as well as that network for other people. We have our Facebook page, people post deals there. We encourage getting to know other people on the site, because in this business, you need deal flow and you need money flow. And, that's all through your network.
You deal flow, you need money flow, you need people flow, right? You got to talk to a lot of people. I tell people every day, when to make more money, talk to more people. And if you join a network where there's a lot of people there, you have a chance to meet more and talk to them. Okay, so last call. I have another question, but before we get there, a couple questions actually. Okay, so before we go there, last call for questions. If you have a question, raise your hand on the Zoom app or put it in the chat box, or if you're watching on live stream, go ahead and ask it in. Aman says, how are you finding contractors? Do you have resources or referrals? I think you mentioned some of it is your REN network. That's one, obviously. Is that how important is that to your overall network, and what other sources would you recommend?
Yeah. Once again, it's networking, because you want to find a contractor who maybe has some knowledge or experience doing flipping. It's different than contracting retail, where I don't pay retail and I don't do retail, right? So other flippers that are in my network will exchange names. And then you guys, now you're getting me to tell my secrets.
Yes.
So
yes.
As a flipper, I've spent many an hour in Home Depot. And I've gotten to the point where, if you don't know this already, contractors go to Home Depot first thing in the morning because they're getting gear for their crews during the day. So they're usually there between like 7 and 8, And
at the McDonald's thing, getting a cup of coffee while they're waiting for the order to be put together.
Well, and they're in the lines, and I go then too to get stuff for my crew, or I'll actually start up conversations with the guys there. What are you working on? Blah, 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 blah. Like, once again, it's being friendly,
right.
just picking up guys. But, I had a draftsman that I, ended up using a bunch that I met at Home Depot, right? We go where they go, and then get to know them.
I have to tell you, I really don't have any tools in the house. I'm so unhandy. I have to call my son-in-law to hang those boards or pictures in our house. But I'm a religious Jew, and we have once a year holiday where we build in the backyard a booth. And so I have to get like electric lights or power cords or various things. And I go to Home Depot and I walk around feeling like I'm a manly man for once in my life. There's so much testosterone in that place. I don't know. I don't know if really REN is going to get much membership there at Home Depot, but sounds like a great place to find some contractors for you.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. So I did a flip up in Cambria. I live in Los Angeles, and Cambria is like a 3.5-hour drive, right? And I didn't want to be up there all the time. So I asked somebody to partner with me so that we could tag team each other. And this was an experienced flipper. So, I would go up there for a week, and then we'd hand off, and then she would go up there for a week. Well, up in Cambria, there is a very limited supply of laborers, right? And we were calling on people to do, say, do the kitchen remodel or do stuff. And they were like, well, I can get out there to measure in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And we're like, we're going to be done in 4 weeks. Like, you don't understand, and we had to get really resourceful, and the one thing that we couldn't find is somebody to do our flooring. And so we actually ended up using our vendor here in LA, we drove the flooring down and we asked them to come out for a weekend, and they did. They came out and did all the flooring for a weekend. They did it at a decent price, and then we promised them a week stay at this house because it was 2 blocks from the beach, right?
Wow.
And we were like, look, come do this for us. When we finish the house, you've got a week stay there on us,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Got to get creative and bring
Wow.
incentives, right?
Wow. Wow.
So, you know, that's what we had to do because we couldn't find the laborers in that area. So think outside the box. Think about what people want. You know, think about if you have something that you could offer them that would be good.
Another question we got from Ricky here as we're wrapping up. When you're buying multifamily properties, do you use conventional 20% down loans, which that's an interesting question, or other non-conforming loan products with higher rates? He's looking for loan products that will boost his bottom line without sacrificing so much capital up front.
Okay, so I don't know any. We use a variety of loan products. I mean, right now we're buying multifamilies that are like 200 units and above. I feel like part of that question might be buying multifamilies that are smaller.
2 to 4, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know, most of the time, it really depends on your loan broker and getting the right loan product for the right property. And let me just talk to that for a minute, because there's going to be a different loan product for, say, a, you know, 5 to 10 unit than there is going to be for a 10 to 30 unit than there is going to be for the 30 to 100 unit, right? There's going to be a different loan product and a different process to generate that loan product.
Right.
And here's the thing, you've got to find somebody who matches with that product. And I think a lot of people think that, you know, whatever, I go to, you know, AB broker, and AB broker is going to show me all the loan products available in the market. They're not. They're only going to show you the loan products that they have access to. Right. You've got to go to broker after broker after broker after broker and find the loan product that's right for the actual property. So, you know, and how they calculate, right? So a lot of that loan product is calculated off of how much rents you make. And so, you know, the calculation determines not only your interest rate, but also if you have to have a certain amount of money in reserves and what your projections are and all that kind of stuff. Finding out how they calculate all of that so that you can really play out your what your costs are for that loan. For us, you know, we just closed on 220 units this past week.
Wow, congratulations.
I know. So we decided to take advantage. It cost us some extra money, but we decided to take advantage and lock in the ceiling on one of our loan rates, right? Because interest rates are going up. Right. And we wanted to make sure that we could lock in a ceiling in case interest rates got a certain level so that we could really have some security with our numbers.
Right.
Should that variable rate go up.
Wow, very nice. Well, and I think, you know, I heard an interesting presentation by one of my coaches, Grant Cardone. He was a fantastic motivation speaker and sales trainer. He's also a master real estate investor. He had an interesting perspective on multifamily properties. He said, if the bank's saying you need more capital, you probably don't have enough capital. You need to raise some more or get some from somebody else. That to change lenders just to get a higher leverage oftentimes can be a disaster for people, especially newer multifamily. And it was interesting, you know, an eye-opener that I just find, you know, beginning investors have in mind, well, I want to finance this at 80%. Well, it may not make sense at 80%. And if you bring somebody else in with, you know, a partner with maybe another 10% down payment, that you have a deal. And it also might make less profit, but less risky deal in the long run. Nobody wants to be in a risky deal. So.
Right. And I mean, that's just another way to get creative in this business, the type of partners that you bring on, right? Somebody can be a money partner that has the leverage or has some money in reserves that can help you qualify for a better loan, right? And, you know, it's worth it to pay, you know, that partner portion of the equity to do that. Yeah.
Well, look, Deborah, it's been fantastic. Now, just real quick, if you want to hear more about what Deborah does, your info is in the chat box. Thank you. REN Expires is the website. Also, for those of us here in LA, we're lucky. I always promote the LAREIC, the Los Angeles Real Estate Investment Club. Not only was she there as a vendor last month, I bumped into her. What a pleasant surprise. But she's actually one of the 4 featured speakers on Thursday night. I think that also means, are you also speaking Wednesday night in Ventura as well? So the night before,
can I plug that?
I'm sorry?
Can I plug that?
Yeah, no, well, I'm plugging for Thursday, but I assume you're also doing the Wednesday night. I didn't know if you were or not. But yeah, but I hope to see you guys on the Thursday because I'm there as a vendor. And I really want to support that event. I think it's great for newer people to meet and learn. I think it's great for experienced people to network and do some lead generation. But she'll be there, one of 4 speakers. And I think for my money, they put the best on the far left because it catches your eye first. So I don't even know who these other 3 are. I don't really care who they are. They should just put you right in the middle and you would sell the place out. Right. But that's going to be.
But I want to say something because it's a very diverse group of women and we did that on purpose, right? So there's myself, and you've heard about my experiences. Jen Maldonado, she raises capital. She teaches capital raising classes. If you're interested in that, you need to meet this girl. And she also just bought like 3 hotels in Phoenix, Arizona. Wow. And then there's Angela Silman, and she's a short-term rental specialist, but she has been making her money in short-term rental arbitrage. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's when you master lease a place and you use it for as a short-term rental. And during COVID, she went to 27 beds, and she's making hand over fist in that area of expertise.
Just genius.
It's a great way to get into real estate with not a lot of money down, right? Because you're doing a master lease and you're just paying for furnishings and you're getting into it. And then there's Cindy Coleman, and she is a note rehabber and a note expert. So both performing and non-performing notes, if you're interested in being the bank at all. So it's a good group. It's a diverse group of women, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of things. So come out and join us.
And if you know me, I work real hard from 8 o'clock to 5. I never go out at night, but I go to this event every month because it's so fun. There's so many people there. I bumped into Deborah Razo last time I was there. But I bump into people, meet great vendors who really helped me build my business as an experienced agent, and new people is a way for you to really meet. Number one, to see for free. Did I mention it's free? For free, you're going to hear some great speakers, learn some great information. There's usually 50 vendors and 250 people. So I hope you guys can make it there for that. I'll promote that weekly as we go through. That's LAREIC if you're interested in joining. Deborah, thank you so much. It's always great to chat with you. It's particularly nice to do that and share it with a group of my friends in my call. Thank you for your contribution here. Thank you for WREN. I know so many women who it's become such an important part of their, I think, business sanity. You know, we success for sure, and also their business sanity, that we can work together and shine together. And thanks for doing that. And I appreciate you making time with us today.
Sure. Thank you. You know, we actually have a WREN meeting coming up tomorrow. It's just an online meeting. We're going to hear from Christina Suter. She is an economist, and she's been a real estate investor for about 30 years. Some of you that are in LA might know her because she's the chapter head for Phoebe Pasadena. Anyway, if you're interested in that, go to renmonthlymeeting.com and check it out. And it's just $10 to join us online and hear about what she thinks the forecasts are for our new economic update.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again so much on behalf of everybody, Deborah. I appreciate it. And that wraps up this call. We do this. I'm Bill Gross. I'm the LAProbateExpert.com. We do this every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. It's our real estate investing Zoom.com. Free. Join, sign up at that website, realestateInvestingZoom.com. We stream it live to Facebook and YouTube. You can watch it there on replay. My YouTube channel is Bill Gross at Bill Gross EXP. Same with my Facebook. Hope to see you guys there, and hope you guys can make it next week. Thank you so much, everybody.